Welcome to the Married People Podcast, where we help you make marriage real, fun, and simple. Each week, we have honest conversations about one simple thing that can make your marriage better. Because when your marriage is better, everything's better. I'm CJ, and as always, I'm joined by our resident newlywed, Afton.
Hi.
And our 22-year marriage veteran. He's an author, speaker, and the director of marriedpeople.org, Ted Lowe.
Hello, everybody.
And today on the Married People Podcast, we're going to look at the question. We're going to ask the question, is really knowing my spouse important? And we're not asking, is knowing my spouse really important? It's, is really knowing my spouse important? So, Ted, I hear that you have something for us here that Afton and I have no idea what's coming.
No
we don't
clue.
know anything about.
Very
We
happy.
just sat down, and you have a very... It's kind of scary grin on your face right now. So
Yeah.
what's going on here?
I'm kind of pleased with myself. You know, occasionally it doesn't happen a lot. I'm always second guessing everything. I was like, no, this was a good idea.
Hooray.
So what I did and this whole idea of, knowing your spouse. And I feel like it's important that we know our spouse, and they know us. And so I actually reached out to Terry and to Hudson.
No way.
Yes, I did.
I am so angry. I cannot believe Hudson didn't tell me.
That's what I was
this
just-
episode about honesty?
That's what I was just thinking. I'm
They
like,
are traitors.
Terry would tell me that this was coming. She knows that I do not do well with
I
these
cannot
things.
believe
And
Hudson
she
didn't
didn't?
tell me.
And she did
They
not.
really didn't tell.
Really
No!
Because I thought they may tell, but I don't think they would give away the answers. But they didn't even tell
Hudson
you.
100% did not tell me, and I am so surprised. He tells me literally every single thing
But seriously,
every second of the day.
it's like when a friend tells you something, they're like, "Hey, don't tell this to anybody else."
Yeah. And you're
it's
like,
always
okay, but I
accept your
definitely
spouse,
do.
right?
Right.
Hudson's response was actually, "Ooh, how exciting!" And I actually believed it. And let's see. Let me see what Terry's was. Terry's was.
What a little sneaky sneak.
Oh, hers was how fun.
Okay.
So little sneakies. So what we're going to do? I asked them both the same questions for each of you.
Goodness.
And
Oh, no.
here's the thing: the winner of this. All right, the winner of this contest.
Guess what?
It's 2 for 2 at Chili's. Because
Something we both really enjoy.
right? Don't you love it? All right.
Yes.
I feel like I know you guys,
Best
right?
gift ever.
Right? I feel like I know
This
you.
is
And
so
we're
good.
really, this podcast was just taken to a new level. I'm much more excited about
2
being
for
here.
20
It's a-
gives you
yeah.
an appetizer and 2 entrees and a dessert.
See, Chili, we got to get Chili's to sponsor this sucker. We are pro Chili's. All right. Here we go. All right. So what I asked the same question. Whoever gets the most for 220.
Golly.
Here's the only thing I ask. I will need some, text me some pics of the night with your 2 for 20s. Okay, here we go. All right. I ask.
Do we buzz in?
No,
gonna buzz
I'm going to
in?
see. We're going to keep points.
This
Okay?
is, I'm
Okay.
nervous.
All right.
I'm confident.
Are you confident?
All right.
Sorta.
Afton.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay. What was this? So I'm asking Hudson about Hudson.
Oh,
Okay.
you're asking Hudson about Hudson. Okay.
What was your favorite pet as a child?
Okay. It was, I'm going to say it was this, it wasn't a
You're
basset
doing really
hound,
well, Afton.
but it was a dog, and it was one of those dogs with floppy ears, and I don't think it was called a basset hound. It was called a bloodhound. Was it a bloodhound he had?
Yes.
Hooray! I'm the champion.
Is there a name for this bloodhound, or was it just bloodhound?
Yeah, it's got a name. I asked for a name.
Its name was Bloody.
Okay.
That's probably what you would call it.
So
You would
Afton
name a
gets
dog.
1/2 of a point. His name was Ralph.
Ralph! Yes, from A Christmas Story.
Okay.
All right, CJ. I asked Terry what her favorite pet as a child was, and she said,
What?
You want me to fill in the blank?
Yes.
fill in the blank.
So I did have see, this is where I was at an advantage with this first one because I had a chance to think and remember. But it was a black lab named Pepper.
Yes.
And Pepper is still alive, so that helps me a little bit too.
Oh, wow. You guys are really young
That's
that your
even like
childhood
a
dog's
real
still alive.
question if the dog's still alive.
All right, so
I mean,
Barely
the dog exists still.
all right. So now you're going to go
Okay,
first.
I'm
so
on the hot
Afton
seat.
gets
Okay,
a little
hooray. Yes.
a little chance.
Unless
to
I
think.
answer this right off the bat, then you've got a little trouble.
I'm gonna know it.
Okay, here's the question. Who was your wife's childhood best friend?
Oh man, I honestly don't know many of Terry's friends growing up. So I'm going to have to go with a more safe answer and say her sisters, Betty and Sarah. So what did she give?
No.
That sounds wrong. Yeah, that sounds super
Dang it.
wrong.
Yeah. Her
Sisters
name
aren't
was
best friends,
Anna
CJ.
D.
Anna D. You know, I
Yeah.
do remember some stories about Anna. I probably should have remembered that.
You should have 100%.
Well,
should
I
have
can't wait
remembered
for
it.
you to get this one wrong,
I already
too.
know mine. Go ahead and ask me.
Okay. So same question. Afton, who was Hudson's childhood best friend?
Okay, by childhood, I'm going to go with, like, because Hudson lived in Haiti for a year when he was, like, 8 or something. So I'm going to go post-Haiti best friend, which is a little bit older than childhood. But I'm going to go with, his name was Marcus.
His name was... His name was Brad Roberts.
I've literally never heard him even mention the name Brad Roberts. I've literally never even heard the name Brad Roberts in my entire life. So he must not have been that close
Well,
if I've literally never heard his name.
He said they lived on a farm and raced 3-wheelers around an elementary school.
Never heard of him. Don't believe he exists.
Oh,
He's
doesn't.
trying to make me lose this game. He made up Brad Roberts. I've never heard the name Brad Roberts, but I'm going to say Brad Roberts a million times today.
Oh, Brad Roberts.
Brad Roberts.
There's still hope, Afton. At least we're still on a, you know, we both got that one.
We're
wrong.
one
So it's one to
One to a half.
We both got that one.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you said
Afton?
a sister. That's hilarious.
Okay, Afton.
That was
Ready.
not a bad guess, though.
A little bit.
I asked Hudson, what is your all-time favorite show on Netflix? And he said,
Oh. Okay, this is not Hulu and it's not Amazon. It has to be on Netflix, right?
correct.
I'm just going to go with a safe answer, a recent answer.
Okay.
And I'm going to say Stranger Things.
So sorry. He said Freaks and Geeks.
No. Literally never even seen him watch Freaks and Geeks ever in the entire 24 months we've been married.
What is Freaks and Geeks?
Freaks and Geeks is like this like cult classic show. It was like Judd Apatow. It's from like a group of kids in like the 70s or 80s, and
wow.
they're like in high school.
Right? It's good. It's good.
You've
it's
never
funny stuff.
You've
It's
never
good.
heard of Freaks and Geeks?
No, guys, I'm
It's on Netflix. You
Okay.
can watch it.
All right.
What's Netflix?
What's that?
I'll explain it to you.
All right.
later.
Okay, thanks.
So what is Terry? What would she say her all-time favorite show on Netflix would be?
So when I get home, Terry usually gets home a little bit before me, and I feel like I see, you know, things like Heartland. I think that's a show, and
Never
then
heard of
there's
it.
a whole lot of Hallmark movies going on right now that
yes.
that are always on. But if it's all time Netflix show, it's got to be The Office.
Correct. So now we are 2 to half a point.
After, do you need
so
me to, do you
close.
need my help? I mean, I
I'm
might know
so
I might know
close.
some of these answers.
You might know
for-
Hudson better than me at this
For
point.
All right, CJ, it's time for you to go
Okay,
first. Are you ready?
all right. I don't like going first, but okay.
You got to.
I asked Terry, if you could only eat at one restaurant for the rest of your life, what restaurant would it be?
For the rest of her, so restaurant, not. So
You can
this
only
is-
eat at one restaurant for the rest of your life.
Okay,
What restaurant
I'm going to
would it
say
be?
that she's not going, like, what comes to mind is like, oh, our go-to date night spots, but I don't think that's the route she would have thought. If she thought, I've got to eat this all time now,
You're really getting inside of her head.
like, it's got to be Chick-fil-A. That would just be like, I can do that all day long, just like Chick-fil-A, breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Same kind of food though. Every single meal, you have the same kind of food.
They have a breakfast menu,
which
know.
is still just chicken.
And I'm sorry, her answer was cans.
Oh, she did go date night.
What's cans?
Cans is the Mexican restaurant in Crabapple. It's
Nice.
really good.
wanna try it.
Yeah,
Alright.
if you are in the Atlanta area, you will see us there on many Thursday nights
Good to
with
know.
lots of queso.
Afton.
Okay, where does Hudson want to eat at one restaurant for the rest of his life? Okay, actually, I've already asked him this question because I love icebreaker questions. So I ask icebreaker questions every
you are
second
the queen.
of the
Wait,
day.
you've written a nice.
I've written over 300 icebreaker questions.
What's the name of your book?
Well, the name of the book is The Art of Group Talk, but we wrote these icebreaker questions that went along with the book. So I wrote a bunch of icebreaker
The Art
questions.
of
and
Group
this is
Talk.
So you
one
have
of them.
asked Hudson this question, which
I've asked
means,
him, and honestly, I can't remember.
which means if you, then I'm not sure
what
if
his response
I'm not
was,
sure
but
you should have
gonna
shared
go
that
with,
fact.
I'm going to do what CJ did not do here, and I'm going to go with date night spot because here's the thing about Chili's. If I haven't said this enough on this podcast, every kind of food, any kind of food you want, all day, all the time, I'm going with Chili's.
I'm sorry, he said Taco Bell.
Taco Taco Bell every second of every day, every meal.
Our spouses switched. Hudson went date night spot,
Yes.
and you thought fast food.
Yes.
Terry went date night spot, and I
you
thought
went
fast
fast
food.
Okay.
But Taco Bell, you would be 1,000,000 pounds. You would be 1,000,000 pounds, Hudson.
Which is
Hudson, if you're listening, that's not okay.
also, I feel like I just need to defend Hudson. That Hudson he's very slim and slender.
He's very slim and yes, but that's because he does not eat Taco Bell every meal of the day.
This is true. All right. So you get to go first, Afton, this time.
Yes.
All right,
Okay.
This is amazing. I love this. Okay.
All right. So would you rather you and Afton retire in the mountains, the beach, or the lake?
Oh, I know what he's going to say, and I do not agree. But if he's going to make me retire somewhere in this icebreaker question,
Yeah.
he would say the beach.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh man.
And
All
I
right.
would want the mountains, and he would say, sorry, Afton, we are going to the beach.
Okay.
I win.
She says that with love.
Come on, CJ.
I sensed that there was love in
There's
that.
love.
So it's the beach, it's the mountains, or
The lake.
The lake. Now this is hard. I feel like I can confidently throw out the beach. That it would be either the lake or the mountains. And we've talked about both. Like Memorial or
So you guys are lake people.
Labor Day, we were like, oh, we went to a lake, and we're like, well, I could get used to this, that kind of a thing. My gut
Go
is
with your gut,
saying,
CJ.
I'm gonna say lake.
She said lake. In
Yes!
fact, here's what's catchy about this. When I first heard the question, I said, would you rather retire in the mountains or the beach? She comes back with lake.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, so you had to add the third option.
she
Yeah.
came back with the third option.
Wow.
She came back with a third option, which I then were able to throw it to Hudson.
And he
So
won.
right now we are, all right, three,
Three to
to 1.5.
one and a
I'm
half.
only halfway behind.
Okay. All right. Last one. Here we go. Are you ready?
We can make this one
I
worth
win?
extra points.
Can CJ get a negative one if he gets it wrong?
Oh, this is a good one. I asked Terry, what is your favorite thing about CJ? What did she say?
What is her favorite thing about me? I mean, other than my
Say it.
very trimmed, groomed beard.
Yes, your face.
Yeah.
You wanted to say face. You're
My
like, her
dashing
favorite
good
thing is my
looks.
face.
My mug. Yeah.
I'm gonna say that I'm hardworking. What did she say?
He makes me belly laugh all the time.
Oh,
That's a good answer.
I'll take that. I'll take
That's your favorite thing about yourself is that
CJ,
you're
she
hardworking.
literally
That's
doesn't
probably
care
her
that you
least
work
favorite
hard.
thing about you.
It might be. There might be something under the surface here. I'd have to-
See, we're learning. We're learning. Okay.
It's true.
it's another Brad Roberts situation on your hands.
I see what you did there. Good old Brad.
Roberts
Roberts.
hanging out with Anna D somewhere. Probably got married. Did they?
If that guy is listening to
I
this,
hope
he's
he is.
very disturbed right now. Or if any guy named Brad Roberts is listening to
I know
this.
a Brad Roberts. Do you got? Okay.
what if it's
So here's the last question of our little game here. Here we go.
I'm gonna get it right.
Okay. What is your favorite thing, Hudson, about Afton?
He would say that because I'm funny, my personality, both.
You know what? It's not right, but he had a really great answer.
Oh my gosh!
Do you know what his answer is?
Whatever. Fine.
He did a poem. Are you ready?
No,
Oh,
he didn't.
Hudson wrote a poem.
No, I'm just kidding.
But you know what's amazing about
He
Hudson
would.
is
Yeah.
that we didn't
He would.
immediately
He
discount that. We're
totally
like,
would. He totally would, and be like, "Oh my gosh, you're such an overachiever. Get out of here."
He sent over a video montage. Are you ready? Afton's like, believe in him. This is how great Hudson
my
is. She's like,
goodness.
oh, did he really? He says that she knows 100% who she is.
Aww.
Isn't that a good
great.
answer?
Aw, that's a good answer.
Okay, could this be the first
That's a good
ever
answer.
genuine "aw" from Afton on
Give
this
it to me.
podcast?
That's true.
Yes,
That's
that's a
high
good-
Truly,
five
that was
worthy.
the first
I
one.
know.
That you were like genuinely.
I
just
had
like,
I
you
had a loving
moment.
emotion.
You do.
I felt a loving emotion on this podcast.
You have more than you let on. To all
Yes.
these listeners that thinks that Afton doesn't have emotion, she does.
Yeah. Well,
She does.
mostly my one emotion is like irritation
I thought it was sass.
and
Yeah.
sass. Yeah.
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 This is why you're here.
But every once in a while, I have an awe.
I love
So
it.
did CJ win?
CJ, you and Terry have won an all expense trip to Chili's as long as you get the
I
2 for
cannot
20.
wait. That is amazing.
And
Well,
now you have to take a picture of your date night, and you have to hashtag Married People Podcast.
I
Yes.
will.
And-
I will.
Oh, people would probably like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, people don't know that I hashtag Married People Podcast on my Insta story basically every time we record because CJ's hand motions are out of this world.
They are absolutely out of this world, everybody.
Wow.
It's like,
They're so
keeps him
good.
going. If we grabbed him by the hands, he'd stop talking.
He wouldn't be able to speak.
He wouldn't be able to speak. All right. There we go.
Well, Ted, that was a lot of fun. Afton, I
CJ, congratulations,
enjoyed
I
that.
guess.
Thanks for being a good sport.
You did an okay job.
I appreciate the words of affirmation there.
You're welcome.
We've got a great rest of the episode here for you. And Ted, why did you throw out this game to us? I know that was a lot of fun, and I think it was a great chance for us to connect and for people to get to know us a little bit. But why this game, Ted?
Well, because, sometimes getting to know each other, that could be uncomfortable. And when we allow our spouse to be honest with us, sometimes that can hurt. And that's kind of a clumsy thing. And I interviewed Stuart Hall. He defines intimacy. I think the Bible did it first, but we're going to give credit to Stuart. Intimacy. He defines intimacy as to be known and to know without fear of rejection. I want you to hear my interview with Stuart. Hey, you guys. Welcome to the Married People Podcast. I'm so excited today with our special guest, Stuart Hall. Hi, Stuart.
What's up, Ted?
What's happening?
That was my sexy Barry White voice.
How you doing? Stuart provides leadership and vision for XP3, which is the student division of Orange, or what we call the Rethink Group. He's co-author of 3 books. He speaks to students and leaders all over the country. You're also a volunteer girls varsity basketball coach. Is that right?
It is, because girls will do what you tell them to do. I don't coach boys because they don't listen.
That's just futile. Isn't it?
It is. I actually like when you're leading for someone to follow your lead.
I like that.
So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. They're more cerebral than boys, is what you're saying, basically. And a little bit more humble.
One of the things that's interesting about girls, actually, I had one of the assistant girls coaches at the University of Tennessee told me this. He said that boys have to play well to feel good about themselves. Girls have to feel good about themselves to play well.
Whoa. Say that one more time.
So boys have to play well with whatever sport they're playing. They have to play well to feel good about themselves. So they gain a whole lot of self-worth from their accomplishments.
We never grow out of that, do we?
Girls, on the other hand, have to feel good about themselves to play well. So in leading young ladies, it is different than leading guys, because much more of your work is making them believe in themselves as opposed to what it is that they're doing.
There's some marriage principles there somewhere.
Yeah. Crazy side note. Sorry I threw that.
No, I love that. I love that. And Stuart and I have been friends for a really long time.
Long time.
I know, we're now the old guys, Stuart.
Yes.
I still think I'm 26. I don't feel like I'm 26, but I still think in my head.
Right. When you're walking up the stairs and everything's cracking.
I didn't know I had one of those to hurt.
Exactly.
Where did that come from?
In fact, when I was walking last night, I heard my knees make noises I've never heard before. It's awful. I'm just walking.
All the millennials are listening to this right now. Oh, okay. Go to the next episode.
You know you're old when you're sore and all you've done is fallen asleep.
You wake up and go, what are those? Oh, well, Stuart, and again, I've been friends for a really long time, since our kids were really, really small. Yeah. And we always, when we see each other, it's really funny. We live in the same area. We both live in Atlanta, but we don't talk unless we're in other cities.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which that's been kind of fun. But the thing I've loved about your family and the way you do life, Stuart, and here's what we always want to do on this podcast when we have a guest on, is we want to highlight people who, yes, they're killing it in their field, they're killing it in what they do, but also they're killing it at home. And I know we were talking about this pre-recording. You go, well, I'm the wrong person. You're absolutely the right person for this, Stuart, is how you guys have done life. You've got 3 very busy teenagers. I'm going to let you talk about that in a little bit. But I love the way you love Kelly, and I love the way Kelly loves you. You guys are fiercely loyal and protective of each other. And so I just would, as we share with people in all different walks of life, we do have some people in ministry that'll be listening. That'll be great. But also, we've just people that are, they just want their marriage to be better. Right. And I'd just love for you to speak into that. Talk a little bit about the busyness that has been the Halls raising 3 very athletic kids.
Well, I would take a couple of steps back from that. I appreciate what you're saying about Kelly and I. What I would say is that the greatest desire of my heart, and I hope it's hers, is that when it's all said and done, we often talk about at the end of life, we want to kind of screech across the finish line on fire. But the the thing we've had to fight the hardest for is our relationship with each other. Not because it was in disarray, but it's what we wanted more than anything else. And, when you bring two imperfect people into relationship with each other, you also bring all the things that made you imperfect. I can remember very early on when we moved to Atlanta, our pastor talking about the idea of intimacy being to know someone completely and to be completely known without any fear of rejection. That definition rocked both of us because we don't want just sexual intimacy, especially when men talk about intimacy. There's all that automatic assumption where you're talking about sexual. But we wanted emotional intimacy, we wanted intellectual intimacy, and we wanted spiritual intimacy. And for us to get there based on that definition meant we were going to have to be willing and brave enough to peel a lot of layers back with each other. I really do think that's been if there is anything good we've done, it's that we were willing to be completely honest all the time.
Wow. So how long had you guys been married at that point where you discovered this, when you guys moved back to Atlanta?
We moved to Atlanta in 1997, 1998.
Okay. So a while ago.
Yeah. So in 1992. So what is that? 7 years? No, it's less than that.
A long
5 years.
time, 25 years, right?
Yeah. I'm saying when we got married in 1992, we moved to Atlanta in 1997. So 5 or 6 years. And then that started really resonating with us. And I think she would agree with this as well, that our relationship really went to a different level once we moved here. And we actually had a conversation 2 days ago, and we were it was a lunch conversation where we were talking about some pretty deep things. And she said moving here and being at our church was a game changer for her personally, but it was also a game changer for us relationally.
Talk a little bit about the difference. Stuart and Kelly, before this revelation that we've got to be honest, we've got to pull back the layers, we've got to be authentic, the other one has to feel safe to be known.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit before and after what shifted.
Well, as I said, two imperfect people coming into a relationship with each other. Kelly, who is absolutely beautiful outside, even more beautiful on the inside, but was deeply hurt by a lot of things before we met. I am probably still incredibly insecure, at the same time very driven. And so when it's a miracle that we fell in love, but you also were trying to work all that out. So it was a recipe for disaster.
Sure.
Very early on in our marriage, I was very much a workaholic. I got a ton of self-worth by accomplishment. 3 years into marriage, we get pregnant. And she had been so much a part of, I was a local church youth pastor, so much a part of it. And then when you bring a child into the mix, and now she's not as much a part of it, and I'm a workaholic, and so it was just not good. And so there was this, in almost every area of our life, everything was very superficial, surface. We were accomplishing a ton of cool things in youth ministry, but our relationship together was just so volatile. And then moving here, and
because you're both strong leaders, right? You're both strong personalities.
We're like Italians, and we're not Italian, which means we fight hard, we love hard, we play hard, we laugh hard, we argue.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it could be like our home could be a recipe for disaster if we let it get out of control. The great part about it is all the good things that we do 900 miles an hour. The bad part about it is all the bad things you do.
Gotcha. So when you guys first started, you bring some baggage into this
some
thing?
Some of the arguments, it was just, so immature. And I was the ringleader in that. It was she very much was always the one that like brought sanity to the table. And it's why, other than Jesus, she's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, because she really did like start leveling me out. And what's interesting is as strong a personalities as we are, her strengths are my weaknesses and vice versa. And what's interesting, Ted, is even spiritually, like I didn't grow up in church. I am the grace to her discipline. She is the discipline to my grace. So, yeah, so all
She's
of that
the
kind
discipline to my grace. That's amazing. That's a beautiful thing. So
Yeah.
you guys,
she was borderline legalist. Well, no, she wasn't borderline. She crossed the line.
she crossed the line. She was because
To this degree, and she doesn't mind me saying this. We moved to Atlanta. She had to go to counseling because she could not handle this idea that God loved her regardless. So yeah.
Yeah, so I think people are listening right now, especially we want to be the most pro-millennial organization on the planet because millennials get beaten up and they care about marriage so much. Pew Research just came out, and we say this almost on every episode, that the top 2 priorities of millennials is to be a great parent and to have a successful marriage. And so we want to be so pro-millennials, but I know a lot of our millennials have probably just gotten married and they want that marriage to be great, but they bring their baggage into it too. And I'm sure they're resonating right now going, hey, that's kind of us. We've brought these strong personalities, which have their goods and their bads, or we've brought different things into marriage. And then you get together and you go, I love you, but now what? So we've got all that. And so you guys move back to Atlanta, and then there starts to be this change. Sounds like Kelly, started the counseling thing, but then this whole idea of about it sounds like being safe with each other. Is that a way to say it?
Well, we took that definition, and this is almost counter counseling, because if you take that definition of intimacy and believe it, then it means the more honest you can be with each other, the more intimate you can be with each other.
Wow.
We loved each other so much that we wanted all of each other at every level. But to want each other that much at every level meant we had to be gut level honest. And I mean, I've even heard some people say, well, you don't need to be that honest. Well, but you're actually going against your definition of intimacy, because to know and be known without any fear of rejection means that I can say or share what I'm feeling, thinking, how I'm hurt, whatever. And I know that Kelly loves me she loves me in light of myself. And so it was that I mean, it was baby steps. We certainly didn't sprint there, and we're not done. We're still a work in progress. But once I realized, for me, I'm a fragile, insecure goofball, that she loved me in light of me, and I can be so incredibly, painfully at times honest with her, and know that she is not going to reject me, and for her as well. I think that's what really started changing everything sexually, emotionally, and the biggest thing is spiritually. Like we have grown more since moving here in 1997 than at any time in our faith journey.
Wow. And so, okay, you've got people listening going, hey, I'm going to go home today and I'm going to be...
Tell it all.
I'm going to be honest.
Not a good idea.
Knowing a lot of guys, it's funny. Every guy we've interviewed today, and Kevin, our producer's here, and he's shaking his head with me, is, a guy say, I kind of get my worth from what I do. I really struggle with this. I think that's a common struggle with a lot of guys. But you said, hey, I came into this thing with a lot of insecurity, and now you're saying, hey, I really want my wife to be honest with me. How did those two things, Nancy and I have kind of laughed that we would melt into the carpet if we were married to normal people, because we're both very sensitive and we're both very careful with each other. I think we're honest with each other, but we're very careful. How did somebody that says, hey, I'm really insecure, how did you find the strength to be able to hear things that were honest? And even with Kelly, if you say Kelly's feeling like, hey, I'm not sure God can love me unconditionally, and then I've got my husband telling me where I'm not perfect. How do those two worlds collide?
Well, I think you just used a great word, collision. Many times it was a collision, but the more we were honest with each other and we realized I'm not going away. In fact, it makes me want to love you better, and it makes me love you more because you were willing to be completely honest with me. And I think your question also revolves around, to not beat the same horse, how deeply do you want to be intimate? Because if it really is about being fully known without any fear of rejection, then to the degree that you're going to be honest, the same degree you'll have intimacy.
Wow.
And so we just decided we want all of each other. And the other thing too, Ted, is that we feel like that's the best thing that we can do for our children is to model that for them, that we're not, I mean, they know we're not perfect, and it gets Italian, even though we're not Italian a lot in our house. It's been interesting as the older that our kids get, like they don't get rattled by if the volume goes up, because it's just the way mom is, it's the way dad is. And they know that in 2 seconds we're going to be laughing and cuddling and hugging on each other, and I'm going to be flirting with her, and they're going to be going, that is so gross, that kind of thing.
God, we talk a lot about on this podcast about being your best us, that every us is different. For some people, they can't be loud with each other. It's going to take them down a bad place. But what you guys have found is what works for our us with these two strong personalities is authenticity. And the more authentic we are, the more honest we are, the more intimacy we have. Do you have an example of one time when Kelly was honest with you about something and it changed how you saw something or how you responded or how you acted, that was, wow, that was tough to hear, but it changed how I approached something?
Yeah, regardless of how much we don't want to carry things into our marriage and the way we were raised, like I inherited facial expressions and tone that are so disrespectful. And I can remember it probably didn't have as much weight when we didn't have children, but watching how our son was getting that like investment from me because he's extremely intelligent. And so consequently, many times he thinks he's right, and more times than not, he is.
Yeah, got one of those at my house.
But the problem is not that you're right. The problem is how you're talking about it. It's what you sound like. It's what your face is. It's what your body language. And I can remember Kelly confronting me because of something that he did that she said, well, let's just be honest. This is what he's watching from you. Game changer for me. Did it hurt? Yeah, everything in me wanted to go, no, he has his own free will and all the junk that but the reality is he's my son. I spent a ton of time, they catch more than they're taught.
Absolutely.
And he's been around a dad who many times uses that kind of tone, uses those kind of, it really did change how I treat her. It also really had a huge effect on, my relationship with Grant, because I certainly don't want him picking up on things from me that are detrimental to his character integrity, who he is relationally.
Wow. And when you think about those things, you said tone and facial expressions, and you said I inherited that and brought that into the marriage. I think that what makes those kind of things so tough is we don't see it ourselves. Yeah. And there's no ill will in our heart that, what I'm going to do? I'm going to talk to my son, and I'm going to talk to him in a way, or I'm going to talk to my wife in a way that feels, condescending or disrespectful or whatever it was. And then they confront us on it. We're like, whoa, it's not a heart issue, but wow, this is communicating nonetheless.
Yep.
Yes, I think probably most of the people listening going, oh, you know what? I brought this thing into marriage. It's not a bad heart, but it is a bad habit.
That's good, yeah.
And so
you just articulated that 10 billion times better, not good. It's not my heart. All three of our children know, like I can give them what they call the look, and it can, the older they've gotten, it does less of, and more of, but
dad.
It's dad, but it's still not good and now that I've been confronted with it, I need to get control of it because it's not my heart. It's just a bad habit.
Right. And that's the thing, whether it's our heart or our habit, it's causing damage all the same. And, as our kids have gotten older, again, I think we have the same firstborn, very, very smart. And like you said, he usually is right and quicker to the punch than I am.
Yeah.
But he has said some things to me that how I make him feel when I'm, he told me one time, he goes, I just feel like you're cocky.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I've never felt more misunderstood in my life. Like,
oh my gosh.
What do you mean cocky? Yeah. I adored you. I love you. I want the best for you. I sacrifice everything for you. And you're getting cocky. And it was frustrating me so bad, but that's what he felt, and that's what I was putting out there.
Yeah.
And so, it's funny how these
Perspective
older
is the
kids-
cruelest form of reality.
Say that one more time.
I mean, perspective is the cruelest form of reality. It doesn't matter what you and I are thinking or why we're doing it. It's how we're perceived.
Yep.
And we, for like it or not, we bring things into relationship, and then we parent from that as well.
Right. And when I think we have to figure out how to make it safe for our spouse to be able to do this. If they bring it to us and they get met with contempt or frustration, then they're not coming back. You know, what do they say? What's rewarded is repeated.
Right.
When we say, "Wow, thank you for letting me know that.
Yep.
Thank you." That's hurt. That hurts, but it's helpful.
Yep.
Wow, Stuart, I think that is powerful. That is some strong things. So, how did you practically, as and your kids, you still, you have one in college or two in college?
One just graduated in May
Okay.
from college, and then that was our son Grant. Our oldest daughter is a sophomore in college, and then we have a high school junior daughter.
Okay, so you guys have poured so much into your kids. They're just great kids. They're so successful. They love Jesus. They're really driven. How did you and Kelly, in the midst of taking them to all the practices and coaching their teams and different things, how did you and Kelly, keep a sense of your us? Keep a sense of the two of you, that when they're out of the house, there's something left of the two of us.
We were talking earlier about this. I think one thing that Kelly and I did that was smart, I don't know how well we did it, but it was smart, is we had a lot of discussion unintentionally about who it is that God wants our kids to become and who it is that we want them to become. And, we kind of, in fact, a few weeks ago, I kind of bulleted out some of those things that we unintentionally said, like, for example, we didn't necessarily want them to be religious, but Jesus was a word that was going to be important in our home. Words like tough, compassionate, considering other people before themselves. So who it is that we felt like God wanted our kids to be, and how who it is that we felt like they needed to be, really drove the intensity of what it is that they were doing. You've mentioned this, our kids have been relatively successful athletically, but that's not the reason why we had them. That's not the reason why we championed athletics. It's because athletics is positioned in a way to teach the most important things in life that the church can't. The church isn't positioned to teach toughness. We value diversity. Well, the most segregated hour in America is Sunday. But why our children and our family has people of color that are our friends? Athletics. Because for whatever reason, athletics doesn't see color, or it's not as segregated. So consequently, it was things that we valued. And because it was things that we valued, we championed it. Not for, the misnomer is just because two of our kids have either played or are playing college sports and our third will. That wasn't the goal. That's icing. It's what athletics has done in their hearts. It's the relationships that they've built. It's the fact that they have grit. Because heads up, it's a tough, stinking world. And so all of that, back to your question, Kelly and I always keep that in the forefront of our mind. Our youngest is committed to play soccer at an elite level in college. She's at this point is going through a real stretching time for her because she realizes how good she's going to have to be at the next level. And to watch the tough lessons that she's having to learn, the discipline she's having to have, and to do that while she's, pursuing Jesus and loving her friends and wanting her friends to come to know Jesus, why in the world wouldn't we champion that? And it just made our relationship with each other easy because we're all, we're gonna bang the drum of intimacy. And this is a season in our life that we will be through before we know it. In fact, we only have 2 more years that Cameron's in the house, and then everything changes. And so that's, I think, how there was sanity.
It's because I think you're talking a lot about being on the same page.
Yes.
As you go, okay, you know what? Because that could have caused a lot of division. If Kelly was like, I don't really get sports, Stuart. Why do you keep pushing this? Got these values. But both of you, isn't that just like God to go, wow, when we came together, we're both, strong, what you call Italians. We've come in this, strong, and it's causing all this tension. But it's this strength that made you both like champion them both in the strongest way.
Yeah.
Which, when parenting is off in a marriage, man, the marriage is off. Man, that is a huge source of conflict. What would you say to the couple where they're not as synced up as the two of you are?
In marriage or parenting?
In parenting, and it's causing friction with their parent. We kind of laugh at our house that I'm Grace and she's Truth, and on bad days, I'm in denial and she's critical. Yeah, and so we kind of, depending on how much time we spent with Jesus,
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I don't know if it's brilliant. It's the situation we're in.
Brilliantly stated at the very least.
So that's kind of and so we've kind of landed a little bit and feeling that balance. But what about the couple that's a little bit different?
I think the first thing I would say is there's just way too much at stake for you not to get on the same page. Granted, there wasn't a whole lot of foresight for most moms and dads before they had kids.
Oh, no doubt.
We looked at each other and thought, let's.
Yeah.
Because we knew it would be fun.
Yes.
And then it gets hard.
Yes.
So there's a responsibility that comes with being a parent that is far greater than the little idiosyncrasies and the nagging little issues that we have with each other. Our world just happens to be athletics, but we didn't, nobody has pushed our kids to do that. And I want to say that unequivocally. I was a college athlete. Kelly was a cheerleader in high school, but they tried everything. There are many days that I wish it wasn't. I wish they were couch potatoes that sat around and played Nintendo. Oh, whoa. I mean, PlayStation. Sorry. I've just aged myself. Dated myself. But I think the issue for us as couples is this is a phase. It's going to change. But our children deserve. It doesn't mean that your children become the sun and everybody revolves around them. Because there's a day coming when they're no longer going to be there, and people that build their life around their children wind up having nothing. So it has to be this delicate balance of we're going to pursue intimacy with each other, and how do we raise children that we can launch into life and in culture, and they love Jesus with all their heart, soul, and mind, and they're prepared for, Jesus said it. He said, he didn't say, it might get hard. He said, in this world, it's going to be difficult. And so we take heart in the fact that Jesus is in them, but we've also tried really, really hard to raise them in a way where they can go into culture and be, our youngest daughter has a word of the year every year, and her word this year is light. Like, Dad, I just want to be a light on my campus. I want to be a light on my club team. I want to be a light with my friends. That is the result of a mom and dad are just being purpose. It doesn't mean we're great parents. Our kids still suck like an airplane toilet sometimes, and as much as, can I say that on there?
Sure.
And even as much as we're, lauding some of the things they do, who knows? Tomorrow you could have me back on here and I'm telling a cautionary tale. It's because this is such a delicate thing.
It is.
It's why don't ask me to write a parenting book, because I don't want to do it, because I'm scared. We don't know what we're doing.
No.
But what we do know is that we love each other. Kelly and I love each other so passionately, and we love our kids. And if this is what can help them become the greatest version of the person that God created them to be, then we'll be about that for a season, helping. The other thing, too, especially for younger parents, part of the tension is that you're in control mode until they get to be teenagers, and then it becomes, I'm a coach.
Yeah.
So
that's a hard shift.
Right. The great thing is we're in coach mode now, so there's not as much of we need to control this as much as they need to learn a really hard lesson.
Life will teach them.
Yeah.
We can't, when we talk about that, we've got a senior, our oldest is a senior, we're thinking, we're going to have to be okay with releasing him into the wild incomplete.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, I'm going to be on him about everything. Because
Right.
I'll see him going, like, he doesn't wear shoes.
Right.
I don't know what that's about. He doesn't wear shoes places. I'm talking that the boy goes barefoot. Like, we're going into a formal event the other day, and he's barefoot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, buddy.
You know he's destined to be a whitewater rafting guide.
Well, he's got the long hair, so I think that's where we're headed. And I'm like,
We're going to run into him on the Ocoee.
exactly. I'm like, at least there, that would make sense. But
Right.
like, he mows the grass with no shoes, and he got stung by yellow jackets. And I'm like, okay, there's your hard lesson. Wear some shoes. Does he wear shoes? He doesn't wear shoes. But we're at this point where we're having to be okay with him leaving incomplete.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. What do you do to show Kelly that in the midst of all the busyness, in the midst of all the intentional parenting, that you love her, that you love her in the midst of this thing? What for her speaks love to her?
Anybody that's on staff at Orange knows that our world is incredibly driven. Mm-hmm. It is insane at times, especially, around tour, around conference. One of the things that I have done better the older we've gotten, the more we've been together, is that I'm not going to cheat my time with her. There have been plenty of times where I have said to bosses and people that want to do meetings and that kind of thing, I just won't do it because I'm going to make sure that I take time. I spend a ton of time on the road during the summer speaking at camps. So when I come off the road, they're going to get my undivided attention. We date a lot during the week, like going to lunch. We'll still, if there's a good movie out, which there hasn't been lately, let's still a midday movie. We try probably 4 times a year to get away. Our kids are at an age now where Cameron can take care of herself. And then the other part of it is just me being the goofball flirt that I am. I love flirting with my wife. I'm not ashamed to tell her how much I love her and how beautiful I think she is. And the other thing too is that she needs that. She because we pursued intimacy, she's let me know that's important to me. And it gets weird in our house when I get quiet about that kind of thing.
Wow.
Which is dangerous because sometimes, because I'm whack, I can use it to manipulate, and I have to be honest enough to go, man, Kelly, that wasn't fair to you.
You just hit on something I think is huge. I think a lot of people try to work on their marriage, but they're trying the wrong things. They're not saying the things they're doing. Like Kelly what's the fruit of being honest and authentic with each other? She says, hey, it's important for you to be a goofball flirt with me. I need that. So now you know what to try. That's the right thing to do.
Right.
I know for Nancy, she's an act service person. I'm a words person. I can give her all the words in the world, but if I leave my towel on the floor and whiskers in the sink, she doesn't care about my poems, right? Just pick up your junk, mister. That's what speaks,
I will as soon as you get the bras off the doorknob.
No, not Nancy. Look, our junk drawer has dividers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so I text her and I said, would you like a Coke Zero? And so for her, that was the biggest moment of the day.
Yeah.
Like that. Well, but it's knowing that about each other. You're like, this is important to Kelly. What does she do in the middle of all the activity to make you feel loved?
I think she understands my insecurity. She is completely honest with me, but here's what that means. It means when I do get a compliment from her, I know that I've done something. It's good.
It's authentic.
I tell people all the time that if she's in the back of the room while I'm speaking, usually I just see her back there shaking her head. But if she laughs, I know it's funny. Because she's a hard act. It's hard to please her. She's extremely hysterical, but it's just hard to please her. So, and she's a truth teller. So, what I've had to learn is when she's telling me something, the insecure part of me goes, "Oh, you're just saying that." She doesn't just say stuff. So many times it has been me believing. It's not that she doesn't encourage me. I struggle believing it. And the older we've gotten, realizing who she really is, man, she really means that. So
that's huge.
Yeah, it is big.
That's huge. You know how to accept it because you know it's real and it's not flat.
It's still a struggle because I'm a mess, but I know it's real because she's not passing out compliments right and left.
That's strong. All right, Stuart, I'm going to let you go in just a minute. Thank you for coming here today,
Oh,
buddy.
dude, I'm honored anytime.
I was thrilled you were able to do this. They're shuffling people around. I was like, I hope I get to talk to Stuart because I love the way you guys have done life and the way you've been intentional about your kids and with each other.
What people need to know listening is that every time you and I have sat, like when we do sit down, whether it's at a conference, even though we live in the same city, it's almost like 2 hours later, you and I get up and realize, wow, the time. And it's always because you're wanting to be a better dad and even more so a better husband. So you're the real deal. And people listening, this is not, sometimes people behind the microphone you are the real deal. Okay. So thank you for challenging me on how you and Nancy are pursuing intimacy with each other and then fighting for the hearts of our kids, which is the greatest battle we'll ever have.
Well, thank you, Stuart. I always walk away feeling like after asking, you guys are a little bit down the road from us, talking to you guys, I feel like a better dad, or I feel like I'm at least equipped to know how to do that.
I think that was Doug Fields you were thinking about.
Yeah, he's okay too. He won't do a podcast with me, so I'm not going to highlight.
He won't?
Yeah, he will.
Let's go, Tom Selleck.
Let's go get him. All right, this is our 60-second question. I'm going to ask you. You ready? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask you a question.
Are these rapid fire or just one?
These are rapid fire.
Okay.
No. What has been your and Kelly's last silly fight? What was it about?
There's just too many of them.
Especially when people are honest. They have them all the time. Right?
Probably there's these stray cats outside of our neighborhood that she and our daughter go and feed. And I told her I'm not going and feeding the stray cats. And she got offended. And I'm like, there's a principle. You keep feeding the cat, they're going to keep coming back. And so I kept getting these questions. Did you check on the cat? No, I didn't check on the cats. Yeah,
we don't own them.
Welcome to 7th grade in my house.
I love it. What's your favorite thing about Kelly?
Her strength. One of the things I tell her all the time, my mom was a doormat. And Kelly is everything but a doormat.
She'll hit you with a doormat.
It's right? What I am. I mean, she's unbelievably gorgeous, but she's so strong. I love that about her.
It's awesome. And who has the best marriage that you know of and why?
Ooh. There is a couple in Bossier City, Louisiana, Art and Donna Walker. When I was a youth pastor in that city for 5 years. Art is the godfather, not like the godfather, but the actual godfather to our son. They have raised 4 unbelievable kids. And I was a snotty-nosed kid as a youth pastor, and watching them was a game changer for Kelly and I as it relates to parents. So they just love each other. Their kids have wound up being, unbelievable kids. Art and Donna, even though I don't talk to them much anymore, anytime I do, it's pretty special. They're great people.
They just modeled something that's seared in your head forever, huh?
Yeah, just the way he honored his wife, and a big part of it is how they raise their kids.
Awesome. Stuart, thanks again, man.
Thank you, Ted.
Well, Ted, that was a great interview with Stuart. It was awesome to hear how transparent he was about his marriage with Kelly and just some of the
most transparent person I've ever heard of in my life.
Yeah, he was, and I appreciated that about him.
Yeah,
because he's a youth communicator, and he's usually just
Yeah. Well, I mean, and
you know what I mean by right?
Yeah. He's just more like as in like just
I got this,
getting that truth out there.
Right.
But it is cool. There is something neat about when you sit down and pause and you hear what's kind of going on behind the scenes in people's lives, because when you're married, you don't have a lot of examples or frames of reference to go on. Does that make sense?
No, it does.
So when Stuart sits down and opens up, it's encouraging and it's challenging and all of those things. So each week we like to boil things down to one simple thing that we can all take away. And that interview with Stuart was great. But now, like practically speaking, where do we go from here? What's the takeaway from this conversation?
Yeah, because it was a deep one, right?
It really,
that was
yeah.
a deep conversation, lots of layers to what he was talking about. I think at the end of the day, when we know each other better, we can be more intimate with each other. We gotta be careful with how we're honest with each other, but we can learn a lot. So the one simple thing is we want you to do this week is finish this sentence with your spouse. I really like it when you fill in the blank, and try to go a little bit deeper. And again, most guys just listen to this going, I know what I like, but not, and I guess you could go there.
Yeah,
but,
they say, I like it when you unload the dishwasher.
right. Is that what you'd say? I like that.
Is that the level of deepness you want us to go?
That's maybe all I can expect from Afton, maybe at this late,
Well, because you can use
let's
this
push
opportunity to let them know that you really like when they do chores.
I like this. Okay, here's what, because part of this podcast,
Afton, you are so fun.
Afton, we love
That's the
watching
word
you
for it.
grow through the podcast process. So can you ratchet it down just tiny?
Anytime I
bit
can
deeper.
affirm that I like when he does chores, I'm going to just affirm that.
That's important. I like that. And you got really
Yeah.
specific. You said
Really
the dishwasher.
Yeah, specifically the dishwasher and letting the dogs out, and also taking the trash out.
That
and
you
washing the cars.
love that when that happens.
Yeah, just all those little, all
Okay.
those things.
That's great.
Well, that's good.
Okay, but my real thing,
Okay.
maybe my real thing, I don't know. This is like a halfway thing. I actually really like it. Every morning, Hudson brings me coffee, and it's like wherever I am. So like if I'm still in bed and he's been up for a while, he'll bring me coffee to bed. But if I'm like in the bathroom getting ready, he'll like bring my coffee to the bathroom and give it to me, which is kind of gross. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want it
Magical
in here.
though, right?
But it's so nice. Like no matter where I am, like I'll just be like getting up and doing my thing. I don't even have to think about the fact that coffee is coming to me.
Because
No
it's a
matter
micro
what.
move. In your
It is a
direction.
micro move.
And it's
Throwback.
a good one. But the throwback to episode, who knows?
Number
was like
one.
Number
One or
number two.
something like that.
So
Number two.
early.
Producer Robert helping us out. Appreciate
Yes.
that.
The micro
So
moves.
number two. I like that.
Yeah. Also, can I just tell you a quick micro move story really
Tell me.
quick? Okay. After we did that micro moves episode, I went home and I was like telling Hudson, like, blah, 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 micro moves, like, they're little things that you do for each other. And so now in our house, this happened to me like last month. Hudson was in the bathroom and he said, I hear him call out, babe, could you micro move me? And I was like, what do you want? And he's like, could you bring me some toilet paper?
I love it.
So now that's a thing we say. Could you micro move me?
Micro move. See, it's
That's
fun.
awesome.
We love
That's
it.
great.
Changing marriages, one roll of toilet paper at a time. I like
Yes.
There's your new tagline, Ted.
it. I like that. That's some good graphics for that too, right?
That's amazing. Well, for me, I would probably say
You're going to go so deep, CJ.
You know what?
I can tell you're going deep.
no,
here.
I really wasn't. So if I'm finishing the sentence, I really like it when you blank. I typed it out in front of me a minute ago. I really like it when you send me silly Snapchats. So Terry and I tend to be a little bit more serious people, but we get into moods where we get silly, and all that kind of a thing. And we'll get into we'll have like a day or two where we'll really kind of go
Amp up the
go
silly.
down, go down that silly road. And it's always fun. And then, life happens and you get back into your routines and then it kind of fades just a little bit. But I think I need to tell Terry that. I really like it when you send me silly Snapchats.
See, it's about the small things, isn't it?
It really is.
You should tell Terry that there's Insta stories now. And you don't have to do Snapchat anymore.
Well, but the filters are still better on
the filters are a
Snapchat.
tiny bit better on Snapchat, but
So,
You just dropped your Snapchat over
dropped
there
my
on the phone.
Snapchat on
Yeah.
the floor.
At least you didn't hit the dog that's right under my feet, right?
yeah.
Yeah. The mascot.
Peanut.
But all right, Ted. So what is yours? So if you were filling in the blank with Nancy, because again, that's what we want you not only to finish the sentence, but then tell your spouse. So how would you fill that in, and what would you tell Nancy?
This is not going to be super deep, but it does matter to me.
It's okay. We've talked about dishwashers, dogs, Snapchat. I think you're on the right. You're in the right group here.
I really like it when you laugh at my jokes. I kind of like that because I feel like she's really busy. She scurries around the house a lot. And so it's kind of fun to watch her in the middle of her Tornado Nancy, catch a joke. So it's kind of fun going, I still got it. Oh,
That's good. That's good. That's
yeah.
awesome.
I just need her to notice more because there's lots of things for her to laugh at. There's good times.
She's just got to pick and choose. She's
gotta pick and choose.
That's
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's just all so funny, Ted.
Well, it's like Stuart says. I know when she laughs, it must be really, really funny because she's a tough audience. So, yeah.
Well, this has been a really great conversation. Ted, thanks for bringing on Stuart to talk about getting to know your spouse better, because it's these little things, like you just said, it's just these little things that we learn to do with our spouse along the way that really take our marriages from good to great, and that's really, really awesome. So thank you again for that. And thank you for joining us for the Married People podcast. We hope that today's episode helped you realize that marriage is a little easier than you think. And if you enjoyed today's episode, we would love for you to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. And while you're there, we would love for you to leave us a review. Your review will help us make this podcast better and help us get these conversations in front of more people who need to hear them. And finally, for more great resources to make your marriage better, check out Ted's book, Your Best Us, and check out Afton. Afton has a product called
the Lead Small Icebreaker Box.
Thank you. I knew what it was called, but I just needed a little help there.
I knew you were about to stumble, so I just jumped on in.
Because I actually have the Lead Small Icebreaker Box, and it's awesome.
Yeah, you're our best customer, CJ.
And I've bought the expansion pack.
Actually, I used can I tell us also? Last night, I used the Lead Small Icebreaker Box because Julian, my stepson, is not going to be with us for Thanksgiving. And so last night, we had Thanksgiving like super early for him, and we did like a whole Thanksgiving dinner, and he like super didn't care at all. Like he acted like it was not a big deal.
His soul cared.
Yeah, He'll
care later.
We did the icebreaker box while we were at Thanksgiving dinner. And then after that, I put on YouTube the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade from last year. So it felt like Thanksgiving.
That's amazing.
That's the best thing I've ever heard.
Anyway, so yes, the Lead Small Icebreaker Box has a lot of applications.
That is awesome. But yeah, check out Ted's book. You can check out Afton's product, the Lead Small Icebreaker Box. We will have links to both of those. If you visit our website, marriedpeople.org, you'll find the links in the show notes. And finally, join us for next week's episode where we'll be asking the question, how do I stay connected with my spouse despite the craziness of life? But until next time, I'm CJ.
I'm Afton.
I'm Ted.
And thank you for listening.